Yeah. Meghan receives blows from paparazzi allies. Hypocritical Duchess has been seriously humbled. According to a new report, as she and Harry are facing the Hollywood cold shoulder. Hello and a very warm welcome back to LVT News YouTube channel. Do any of you out there suspect that maybe Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh, may be feeling a little bit secretly in his heart of hearts relieved for such a long time now? The late Queen's fourth child was the human equivalent of the semicolon. He was underappreciated. He was basically unused, and usually he was forgotten. He also just so happened to be the constitutionally unimportant genetic footnote who was responsible for the most embarrassing cringy flop in modern royal history. Somehow back in 1987, the Duke convinced his mother, Her Majesty, to approve of 3 of her kids taking part. And it's a royal knockout, a dignity-free costume TV game show. So ridiculous that maybe science should look into it. And what was the end result, you ask? Well, a complete royal catastrophe. And we thought things could not get any worse until recently, of course, with the advent of Harry and Meghan's big American adventure and their quest to make it. They had to cross an ocean. They had to deal with the PCH and they had to brave the Los Angeles traffic. And that is a mission that right now is looking like it's not going very. Harry, Meghan have been trying pretty hard, but they haven't been succeeding, and this could explain why. Lately Meghan is reportedly humbled and has been brought down a peg. Adding to the general feel that the tide has turned against Meghan and Harry, we've got to consider the fact that the family has been packed with increasing frequency lately. And that's a situation which does not bode well for the privacy-loving family, or so they claim. Now the most recent set of snaps taken by photographer Jill Ashani and show making a trip to a local farmer's market. And the most interesting detail was that she was accompanied by her beagle guy in spite of the fact that dogs are reportedly not allowed there. And now we are hearing from Ashani, and in Newsweek, she's sharing her thoughts on Meghan, claiming that something somewhere somehow has changed with Meghan Markle. She said this would be the 4th time photographing Meghan since 2021. And I had a different vibe from her this time. The photographer continued saying, when you do this kind of work, you become very intuitive. The way she looked at me, it was just different than the other times. She just seemed like she'd been humbled a bit or brought down a peg a bit. And that's a comment worth dwelling on for just a moment. Just how Meghan and Harry's recent reveals may have impacted them. So far, every single one of Harry and Meghan's projects, including her podcast series Archetypes, their Netflix docu-series, and also Harry's book Spare, have been pretty successful. But they've also come with a big heaping dose of but. Now, Archetypes debuted at number 1. But then after that, the weekly episode slipped further and further down the charts. And then in June, we learned that the company and Meghan and Harry decided to part ways. And then we learned about some ideas that Harry supposedly had, that he had wanted to interview a homicidal dictator, Vladimir Putin, somebody who would probably make Stalin proud. And he also wanted to interview a bankrupt former reality star who had a go at his very young coup. Of course, I'm talking about Donald Trump, and that only made Harry look like a complete idiot. Meghan and Harry series titled Harry and Meghan was pretty successful. It racked up more than 81.55 viewing hours. But still it fell short of being the #1 most watched documentary on Netflix. And even with these kinds of numbers, it might not be enough to keep their Netflix deal afloat. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Netflix is not planning to renew their current contract when it's up in 2025. The show also wasn't very well received critically in Hollywood. It missed out on an Emmy nomination and it only managed to get one from the B-list. Hollywood Critics Awards Spare sold pretty quickly. It actually now holds the Guinness World Record for the fastest-selling non-fiction book ever. But still, it has not brought a lot of people over to Team Sussex, and it did not really move the dial of public sympathy in favor of making it airy. Meanwhile, Some really big names in the entertainment industry have gone after Meghan and Harry's talents and skills and creativity for every 2 steps forward. It looks like they're taking a big step back, at least one, probably about 2 or 3. Meghan and Harry's reputations and their careers have not been doing very well. And so it would make a lot of sense if that was affecting them personally. So,